You check your bank account before you fall asleep. You check it again in the morning. You tell yourself it's just curiosity. But underneath that, a low current of worry never fully switches off. What if that worry isn't a personal failing? What if it's a design feature built into you long before money existed at all? Your brain does not know what a bank account is. It knows what scarcity is. For most of human history, resources didn't arrive in steady paychecks. They arrived unevenly. A hunt failed. A harvest rotted. A winter lasted longer than the stored food could. The humans who survived weren't the calm planners. They were the ones whose minds locked into whatever was scarce right now and refused to think about much else. Researchers Sendel Mullainathan and Elder Shafir studied this directly, testing sugarcane farmers before and after harvest, when their income swung from tight to abundant. Before harvest, the same farmers scored measurably lower on cognitive tests, not because they became less intelligent, because scarcity itself was consuming their mental bandwidth. Poverty doesn't just limit what you can buy, it limits how much of your own mind is left to think with. But scarcity is only half the story. Would losing $500 hurt more than finding $500 would feel good? For almost everyone, yes, and it isn't close. Daniel Kahneman, working with Amos Tversky, mapped this asymmetry and called it loss aversion. Losses feel roughly twice as painful as equivalent gains feel good. Your brain isn't running a fair calculator, it's running a threat detector, tuned for a world where losing your food supply could end your life. Today, that same wiring makes you sell a falling stock in a panic. It makes you avoid a bill you're afraid to open. If your ancestors' brains were built to obsess over today and dread any loss, what happens when you ask that brain to picture 15 years from now? It struggles. Economist George Lowenstein studied temporal discounting, the pull to take a smaller reward now over a larger one later. People know the math favors waiting. In the moment, the present simply weighs more. Your ancestors never needed to plan a retirement 40 years out, so the brain never built strong machinery for it. So here's what you're actually carrying: a mind wired to fixate on the gap in front of you. A threat detector that makes losses hurt twice as much as gains feel good. Almost no built-in instinct for a distant future. None of that is a character flaw. It's ancient hardware, doing its job, aimed at a world it was never designed for. And here's the uncomfortable twist. What happens when an entire economy is built to keep triggering that emergency response? On purpose? Balance notifications, countdown timers, only 2 left. These aren't accidents. They activate the same scarcity circuitry that once helped a hungry ancestor find food before nightfall. The tools changed. The vulnerable software underneath didn't. That jolt of anxiety when you check your balance almost certainly predates money itself. It isn't really about the number on the screen. It's a survival alarm, going off in response to a spreadsheet. You can't silence that alarm, and you probably shouldn't try. It kept your ancestors alive, but you can recognize it the moment it fires. The urge to check your balance 5 times an hour? That's scarcity narrowing your focus, not new information. The panic to sell when prices drop, that's loss aversion talking louder than the math. The pull to skip saving for a future that feels unreal, that's an ancient brain struggling with a timeline it was never built to hold. None of this means you're bad with money. It means you're human, running instincts assembled for hunts and harvests, not interest rates and index funds. So the next time you check your bank account before falling asleep, notice what's underneath it. It isn't really about the number. It's tens of thousands of years of instinct asking one very old question in a very new world. Is there enough, and will there be enough tomorrow? Your brain was never wired to be poor. It was wired to survive scarcity. Now you know the difference.